Hi there, and welcome to Purple Figs, our ekphrastic workshop here at the Cotuit Center for the Arts Gallery. My name is Jason Mellin. I am joined, as always, by
Kim Marie Baker.
Kim Marie Baker here in the gallery, taking another look at another fabulous exhibit. Kim, what do we do here on Purple Figs?
So on Purple Figs, we do a beautiful, I hope, ekphrastic exploration, I'll call it, which means that we take a look at a beautiful work of art in one of the exhibits that happens to be hanging. This one is our Mutual Muses, so it's sort of doubly ekphrastic right now. And we write a poem to it, and then we will read that for you, and then we'll talk about what inspired us and hopefully inspire you to think about at least coming and visiting the exhibit and enjoying this beautiful gallery, and maybe even trying a piece of your own.
We had so many artists and poets in this exhibit. I'd love to claim, Kim, that we're the trendsetters, but this exhibit has been going on for a while. It's its first year here at Cotuit Center for the Arts. So we're so excited to have Mutual Muses. We've had great receptions. People have so loved it. We've had artists responding to poets, poets responding to artists. And you and I have both responded to pieces and also created original works as well. And I'm very excited to be able to show off today Reflections, Wood Ducks by Carol Flax. Carol has been in our gallery many times. She's a truly remarkable artist with collage. She uses thin strips of paper to create scenes like the one you saw earlier, the one sitting right behind us here. And this is the work that I was asked to respond to. So I did. I wrote a poem in response to it. We thought for Purple Figs, it might be fun to have Kim come and respond to the same piece, so you can sort of see how two artists can look at the same thing and come to completely, well, we'll see how different they are. I think that'll be part of the fun. I think there may be some overlap.
Yeah.
And be sure to check in next week. We'll be doing the same thing for one of the pieces that Kim responded to, and I took a chance and responded to as well. But to begin, how about I share my poem, Kim?
Sounds great. Sounds great.
So this is Augury in response to Reflections, Wood Ducks by Carol Flax. I find myself again at water's edge, tide low, boats sinking as they always do into the briny bricolage. I'm here because nobody else is. I'm here because the path is rough and the smell unpleasant. I've lived an entire life up until this point, and this is what it comes to. A little desolation almost out of the range of the tires on the highway. A pair of wood ducks make their business known not far from where I stand. Had they been there the whole time? They challenged me not to notice them. I almost succeeded. Where would I be now if I had? They stare at me from the water, from the rock, daring me to make the next move. A dragonfly lands on the reeds nearby. Its eyes are a high-vis vest, yellow. It stays longer than I expected to. I climb back into the woods and imagine for a moment that I can hear the ducks calling as I go. They sound happy, and I feel like they should be. So there's my poem. I called it Augury because the poem I wrote for this exhibit was called Ornithomancer, which is a seer who, he makes their divinations off of the movements and the entrails of birds. So when I received a piece that had birds in it, I said, okay, I'm being called to serve that role. You can see as you were following along, I was kind of inspired by the strips of paper she had to sort of lay the lines out in different lengths and different locations and sort of see if I could mimic that feeling of something coming to whole out of these sort of disparate pieces.
Yeah, I love that. Because that is really what Carol excels at. If you've seen other of Carol Flax's work, you can see that I don't know where she gets her paper from, but I'm sure it's here, there, and everywhere. And yet she's able to take all of these disparate pieces and make something whole out of it that's absolutely beautiful. The colors are so realistic and whatnot. But I will tell you that one of the things that strikes me in this poem is the music, because I hear this beautiful rhyme go on internally and whatnot. Dragonfly lands on the reeds nearby. Just those, it's delicious. There's something about poetry and music. It's one of the things that sets it apart from other forms of writing, and yet it's not so in your face as to be just at the end. I love internal rhymes so much. And, were you aware of that when you were writing, or did you revise to that kind of music?
Yeah, a little bit of both, but it was always part of the target. I find, it describes a moment sort of that happened, being down in the marsh and seeing some waterfowl and having an experience from it. And there's just so much music when you separate yourself from the man-made world and try to commune with nature. So I absolutely wanted that to be in. Certain things came to me. Other things, after I finished writing, I realized there were opportunities. The dragonfly on the reeds nearby, that was a thing that happened, and it was
Right.
so it had a music to it. So I needed the words to sort of reflect that. The briny bricolage, like similarly, I was trying to sort of convey what was happening in the piece itself, but also establish some music of my own. So you won't find any sort of regular meter, just like you wouldn't if you stepped into a salt marsh,
Right.
but there would be patterns and music there the more time you spend. So.
And what I love that you said, and this is sort of the idea of ekphrasis, you are not so much describing what you see, and it's beautiful to look at, and you want to give a sense of what's happening in there, but you really want to bring your own emotion and your own experience of that into it, and what is the story there. So if you're thinking about doing this, you're not just required to describe, you're really required to let flow through you what you're feeling and what happens to you when you look at a piece of art, which is different depending on who's looking at it.
I mean, that's the why we use the word, respond when we're talking about these, because you are adding your own voice to the work itself. On that note, speaking of music and your own voice and experience, I would love to hear, Kim, your poem. So I will back off for a moment and let you share with the crowd.
So this is my poem called Longing, in response to the same piece, Reflections, Wood Ducks by Carol Flax. She waits patiently for him, perched, not nested, but blessed by sun, by layered papery shades of silver and gray, a hint of his emerald head skimming as he nears, as their eyes lock. Aren't all love stories like this? Missing, longing for kissing, for one glorious reunion, never certain. You wondering if this might be the time. He floats right by as you pine. You wondering if this might be the time you fly.
I have goosebumps now just from the end of that. What's so exciting to me about this, when you first sent it to me and I read it, Kim, our two poems seem kind of disparate, right? I'm talking about the character whose the voice you hear is someone having an experience with the wood ducks, and you responded as if you were one of them with them, and yet they both have this ending of potential. Like something is just unfinished right then, and you don't know what's next. I love that. I love that we sort of came to such different reactions, but left with that same feeling of there is something new about to happen because of this interaction. Whether it's the narrator with the piece itself, or with the duck and the other duck, as one person to another. That's so exciting to me that sort of feeling remained at the end.
Yeah, I agree. I love I don't know if this is Carol speaking through us, and she gave us something that we both sort of felt something similar about. But this is what a work of art can do to you. And, if we had 10 different people writing to this piece, there'd be 10 different experiences. In fact, ekphrasis is such as you might not even hear about the ducks in some folks' poems, because this would tap into an experience perhaps that led you to a different place and a different emotion, and you might not even hear about them. And that is the beauty of ekphrasis. It's not confining to this piece. It really opens you up to whatever happens when you look at it, and it keeps this conversation going. And I love that part of what we do.
Yeah, it's the most exciting thing. And what an opportunity to be able to use the Mutual Muses exhibit to sort of do a more in-depth exploration of that. The other thing I love both poems have is that, like you said, a sense of internal rhyme. It's just, there's music to it. When you look at the piece and you see up close sort of how these very disparate things, when you zoom in, create something so cohesive. You want to place things next to each other that have that relation, that ability to enhance and excite each other. And it makes both poems, I think, a little more energized than they might need to be.
And I hope that, the artist feels we talk a lot about how we want to honor the artist. We don't want to have a poem where the artist is like, really? That wasn't what I was thinking when I did that. But there's something about this piece that's sort of a normal experience that you might have if you went into nature and you found these two ducks. We've probably all seen a scene like this, but look what it's done to us. And this is the power of art. And I thank artists for this, because I could not love doing this kind of poetry more. It's just, it's very rewarding, and I love keeping this conversation going.
It's, for me, become sort of the way I process best when I encounter a work of art. So I agree. I've always loved Carol Flax's work. This is the first time I've responded to it in poetry, and it's living with me now in a way it hadn't before. And that's sort of the excitement of the form, and just of responding and continuing the conversation. Yeah.
Great.
Well, I think that's it for us today on Purple Figs. We're so excited to have you here. Kim, how long does this exhibit, Mutual Muses, go on?
This exhibit is up until October 15, and we're thrilled to have it. And so many folks have come in already. You do need to come and spend some time with this, because they are beautiful poems and beautiful works of art. Do yourself a favor, and if you want to talk with us about it, let us know when you're coming. We'd love to come over and process with you and keep enjoying, as if we don't already come over here every day and,
Definitely.
and enjoy. Yeah.
Knock on my office door. I'll come read some of the poems for you.
Yeah.
It'll be a whole new
I
experience.
love
Yeah.
that. Yes, yes, yes.
Well, like I said, we've got more work for Mutual Muses coming your way, so stay tuned for more Purple Figs, and we'll see you here at the gallery soon.
Bye now.